Good afternoon. It's September 26th, and it is the board meeting of the Moines Water Works Board of Trustees. Looks like we have a fairly short agenda, but every time we say that, it seems to go much longer. Did I just jinx it, Graham?
Yes, you did. That's why you heard me sigh.
With that, let's take a look at the consent agenda. And Ted, is there anything you wanted to pull off and explain?
Nothing for me, Sue, unless someone has a question.
Ted, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we always have at the beginning an opportunity for any of the public members to speak to the group before we move into our agenda items. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the board? Moving right along, we have our first agenda item.
And talk about regional governance later.
We usually do that now, don't we?
We can do it now, or we could do it during my comments. Why don't we do it now? Is that
Okay,
Sue?
sure, go ahead.
There's actually been a lot going on here in the last month related to regional governance. On September 15th, the third draft of the 28E was issued to all of our regional partners. And we are continuing to coordinate with our partners on PR and communication related to that third draft. We issued a press release on Monday jointly with Urbandale and West Des Moines, letting everyone know that the third draft was available for review on our website. We also sent out our H2O line customer newsletter on September 18th, letting our customers know that the draft was out and that we would be having an open house on Thursday, the 28th, to answer any questions and talk about that. We have staff communications that are ongoing through supervisor meetings and department meetings to let everyone here know, or our employees know kind of what's going on and the draft is out and what the timeline is. We had an op-ed authored by Sue and Andrea with a contribution by Graham. Thank you, Graham, for that. That was published online yesterday and we were told it will be in the paper on Thursday. So that's excellent timing as we move to our open house on Thursday. Amy Kaler and I have had the opportunity to meet with the city manager and all the city council members within the last week to bring them up to speed and answer questions that they might have had about where we are. I will share that they were very supportive of the process and where we are in the process. Tomorrow we'll be sending emails to our retail customers, to neighborhood associations, to Citizen Water Academy grads, all reminding them that we're going to have an open house on Thursday. And then we will have the open house, our first public open house, Thursday of this week from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Southside Library to answer questions from customers or anyone who's interested. We have had quite a little bit of media interest. The Business Record, Capital Dispatch, Des Moines Register, IPR, and Axios have all contacted Des Moines Waterworks asking for additional information. We haven't seen reports in all of those outlets yet, but we expect to this week. And then ongoing outreach this week will include Polk County Supervisors, Taxpayers Association, Greater Des Moines Partnership, as well as beginning outreach to all of our regional partners to see if they have questions or comments. The only meeting we have scheduled with regional partners thus far is city council meeting in Ankeny on October 2nd, which was actually scheduled before the draft went out. I think those are the things that I'm aware of that are ongoing. I think that pretty well aligns with our PR plan that was presented to the board. So unless anyone has questions, I do have one other thing I want to share. Sue, but does anybody have a question about?
I do on Thursday night.
Yes.
Tell us the format, how you're going to be running it.
Sure, it's going to be an open house format. So when customers come in to the meeting room there in the library, they'll have the opportunity to go to various stations around the room where they'll be able to ask questions about finance and governance, about asset transfer, about the parks specifically. There's been a lot of interest about in the parks and what's going to happen with the parks. And we're kind of going to divide the space up into things that are not going to change. They're going to be the same. So that would be local distribution, customer service, parks, all of those things are going to be virtually no change in operation whatsoever. And then on the other side, we're going to have things that will either become part of Central Iowa Waterworks or will change in some way. So you've got your governance, your finance, your assets, the treatment facilities. So just give people the opportunity to kind of walk around and ask questions. We'll have experts from the staff at each station to answer those questions. And then I'll be there kind of roving. Hopefully some board members will have the opportunity to be there. We've heard from some media that they tend to stop by and just see what's going on, and I'm asking the additional questions. So no formal presentation is planned, no specific question and answer, but just an informational session for folks to get their questions answered.
That's nice, really a one-on-one, being able to talk to people about whatever they're interested in.
Absolutely.
So do we have a designated place on the website and easy to find place to leave your comments on regionalization?
We have, on the front page of the website, there is a current news section that has a listing of all of our current updates. FAQs posted there. And then there is an email address as well on the website. It's biww@dmww.com. And you can email your questions to that address.
I just want to make sure that it not that only if people have questions, but if they have comments, that it's clear that they have an opportunity, because we're doing these listening sessions, but if people have an opinion or something, where is that collected so that we can know? I know I saw West Des Moines plan, and they made it very clear at all of their board meetings that they would have opportunity to take comment, that kind of.
Right.
And I
And
think they were having some Zoom meetings too.
they have indicated they're going to have a couple of Zoom meetings
Kind of
in
an interesting approach.
November, and we're considering that. We've worked with them to kind of align in terms of opportunity to comment at each board meeting and public open houses and website availability of information and social media outreach, all of those kind of things. We're all kind of trying to parallel on the same path. They have scheduled a couple of Zoom meetings. We don't have any scheduled yet, but we're considering that as well. But otherwise, I think we're very parallel to what they're doing.
Good, thank you.
One of the things too, if I might, I just want to share a bit of what I think is very positive news related to our energy management program. We had our audit this month of our energy management program, and we passed. That's something we have to do annually to ensure that we can still be certified under ISO 50001. That's the International Standards Organization. That's ISO. ISO 50001 is their energy management standard. In 2017, Des Moines Waterworks was the first water utility in the country to be certified to ISO 50001. And then we are also certified to their superior energy performance program. And we were audited on both of those things this month, and we passed, which is good. Of note, there are 3 gold level superior performance entities in the nation. There are 3. They are 3M, Nissan, and Des Moines Waterworks are the 3 organizations that are certified to the gold level under superior energy performance. So that's a big deal. And I think it's important that the board know that. Since 2017, according to the modeling that we do and is audited every year, we've saved $1.7 million in energy costs based on the efforts of our energy management team. And we've reduced our CO2 emissions by 37,000 metric tons. So just want to make sure the board is aware of that. And everyone's.
Are we doing any kind of a press announcement on that? I mean, I think that's great news. 3M, Nissan, and Des Moines Waterworks.
Yeah, right. I don't know that we have planned a press release. This was our annual audit. We did press releases when we were certified, when we originally got the certification. We've done an article in the American Water Works Association Journal about our energy management program. But I don't know that we have a specifically planned a release now, but it's something we could consider because it's a big deal.
Maybe not next week when we're doing a regionalization, but I think that's wonderful news. And I do want to say it was our chair, Andrea Bolton, that when she first heard this news, she said, that's outstanding. She said, I want to hear the good news and for it to be shared at the board meetings because all of you are doing the work for us to have this. So it's a compliment really to our staff. That's what I had understood from Andrea. So I'm glad she suggested we do this.
So
Absolutely.
Ted, how much of that is focused on the production side?
Well, the majority, all of our significant energy users are on the production side, mostly pumps. But we also, this building, we have LED lighting throughout this building. We have occupancy sensors throughout this building. Our general office facility is Energy Star certified. So we've done a lot of things like that. We also work with the fleet on fuel efficient vehicles and being as efficient as we can, but primarily we're looking at production and we're looking at electricity.
Variable speed.
We have done a lot of variable frequency drives. We have done a lot of efficiency monitoring on equipment that's in service. Done a lot of replacing older equipment that was less efficient. We've done a lot of specifying new things, as engineering does new work, they specify high efficiency motors but drives, variable frequency drives is probably one of the big places that we've gained efficiencies.
Thank you for that good news. We have action items. We have 3A that we will start off with acceptance of the 2022 Des Moines water main replacement contract 1.
So this is a project that was bid and awarded in 2022. The work is done on the project. It was over in the vicinity of the zoo, west of Southwest 9th on a group of streets there. There was one change order, a small change order, about $13,000, and then there were some quantity changes along the way, specifically related to pavement removal and replacement that made the contract a little more expensive than we had originally awarded. We bid the job as directional drilling, anticipated a significant reduction in pavement removal and replacement, which we did see, but not quite as much as we wanted. So we did have a bit of an overage there. And the final contract price is $1.678 million. I think John had a thought on what we might want to do as we accept this to acknowledge that difference between the bid price and the final quantities, John.
Yeah, so the final price ended up exceeding the CEO spending authority over what the initial approval was for. And so normally that would have come to the board for prior approval. But the way it was billed and paid here, it ended up getting paid without board approval. And so in terms of the governance piece of this, when you consider whether to approve this, if you do approve it, I would recommend we also ratify the final contract price that was paid so that there's no question. And Sue, what I would suggest is that if that board does want to do that, then the motion would be as written with this one addition, and I'll just read the whole thing here. And this is what we do. It can be reflected in the minutes this way. But motion to accept the 2022 Des Moines water main replacement contract 1 completed by Synergy Contracting LLC and ratify payment of the final amount of $1,678,951.24.
Okay, so we are looking for a motion to accept the 2022 Des Moines water main replacement contract 1 completed by Synergy Contracting LLC.
So
And ratify the payment in the amount of $1,678,951.24.
so
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Moving on to item 3B,
So this is replacement of the truck scale, and it is a public hearing, so I think, why don't we go ahead and just walk our way through this?
Okay, we're going to open a public hearing for any comments from the public concerning the project's form of contract, plans and specifications.
And,
And
and estimated costs.
And estimated
which it
costs.
does not say on here, but I
Okay.
remember. And I can share, Sue, that we haven't received any questions or comments from the public, written or verbal.
and so we will close the public hearing. I'd like a motion to accept the adoption of the form of contract plans and specifications and estimated cost.
Someone,
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Now we're ready for the analysis of bids.
So we received, this is a truck scale replacement at the McMullen Water Treatment Plant. We've got a scale there that we use for hauling residuals and weighing those and paying the contractor based on the weights. That scale was actually there when we purchased the property from the former owner who was using it as a gravel pit. That scale has reached the end of its useful life, and so we're going to replace it. We received 3 bids. One of them wasn't opened because it was non-compliant with our bid requirements. But we did receive 2 bids. The low bid being $823,000 from Edge Commercial, and we would recommend that the board award that contract to Edge.
Okay, so we're looking for motion to award the MWTP truck scale replacement contract to Edge Commercial in the amount of $823,000 and authorize the chairperson, CEO, and general manager to execute the contract. We have a motion.
so
Second. Any questions?
More from my own educational perspective, but it was somewhere recently somebody was complaining about the city of Des Moines working with the contractor that they knew was not great, but they still had to give them the award because it was the lowest bid.
Mhm.
And it just made me think, I guess, from Waterworks perspective, it says here they've performed successfully in the past. How do we track that, I guess?
You know, I'm gonna tee Mike up here for him to add to this, but it's generally institutional knowledge. You know, the folks here, many of whom have been here for years, have worked with all of these contractors in the past. I will say a couple of things. Des Moines Waterworks is not required to accept low bid, or we can accept the bid that we believe to be in the best interest of Des Moines Waterworks, which I think must be part of 388.
Yes, well, yeah, it's either chapter 26 or chapter 388. It's in the Iowa code.
And so we don't have to accept low bid, but we almost always do. Unless we have reason to believe that the low bid is not in our best interest. We've done that on at least one occasion. I won't remember what it was, so we might have to research that, but it's institutional knowledge. Mike, what would you add to how do we know?
We've discussed this a little bit recently, just based on other conversation. Most of that is technical knowledge, not documented, some anecdotal. So this introduced a form for us to use, kind of moving forward, just at the end of the contract. It's a 1-page, 2-page debrief of, you know, how to go. It's not intended for us to. It's just, I guess, document our experience. Lindsay, would you add anything to that?
We'll just look at the different things and how did the contract go, like for deadlines met, you know, were there any issues? And we'll just document and have it all in a folder that we can.
I think when we talked about ever making a decision based not on the low bid, but based on the qualifications of the contractor, we assemble the reasons why. So it's not just sort of a gut reaction. It's a concrete set of reasons why the Waterworks has decided to deviate from just accepting the bid.
And we hope that's one whole.
But John, this question that Alec is bringing up then, so the city of Des Moines, because this is part of Iowa code, also would not have to unless they had some procurement guidelines that told them they were required to accept low bid.
The code section is specific about utilities, municipal utilities, and not necessarily having to accept the low bid. So there's plenty of other public entities that do when it comes to public improvements. And I believe the city is required to accept that. So
Yeah, and this was somebody talking, so I didn't necessarily fact check it, but it just got me thinking about how that would impact us. Appreciate the color and it sounds great that we're standardizing and documenting because institutional tribal knowledge is strong, but it could go away at times or get forgotten or misremembered.
Doesn't always.
I've been there myself.
It's good. All right, any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, moving along to item 3C, we have another public hearing. So I'm going to open the public hearing for any comments from the public concerning the project's form of contract plans, specifications,
And estimated,
and estimated costs.
even though it doesn't say that.
That's
we'll
right.
get that
And
fixed.
estimated costs.
So we haven't received any comments from the public.
Okay, we'll close that public hearing then. And I'm looking then for a motion to accept the form of contract plans and specifications and the estimated cost.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll have an analysis of bids.
Sue, this is closed loop cooling system. We got a couple of projects here that actually use water from our treatment process to cool a couple of pieces of equipment, our generator and a diesel. Then that water is returned to the gallery for our future use, but there's potential for there to be a cross connection there. So we'd like to eliminate those that water cooling system and install these closed loop cooling these pieces of closed loop cooling equipment. We received 3 bids from 3 different contractors. The lower 2 bids, although they're a little bit above the engineer's estimate, were very close, and we feel that they're actually excellent bids. And so we would like to award both the base bid and the alternate. So we would be replacing both of those water cooled systems with closed loop cooling systems to Waldinger Corporation in the amount shown here in the memo.
Thank you. So we're looking for a motion to award the FDTP closed loop cooling system contract to Waldinger Corporation in the amount of $1,458,216. Authorize the chairperson, CEO, and general manager to execute the contracts. So moved. Second. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Moving ahead to item 3B.
Sue, this is authorization to issue a purchase order for repairs to a piece of equipment. We had a piece of equipment that was involved in an accident. A lot of body damage, but the engine, drivetrain, mechanical systems on the vehicle were in good shape. And so the recommendation here is just to replace the body. It's $25,000 cheaper to just replace the body than to buy a new vehicle. And the vehicle was fairly new, fairly low mileage. And so our recommendation is to issue a purchase order to Majestic Truck Collision and Frame Repair in the amount of $105,000 to repair the vehicle.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to authorize staff to issue this purchase order to Majestic Truck Collision and Frame Repair in the amount of $105,000 for repairs to crew van unit number 35.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 3E.
So this is an item to implement a whole series of improvements to the chemical feed systems at the McMullen treatment plant. That treatment plant was put into service in 2000, so it's 23 years old already at this point, and there are some chemical feed systems there that are in need of repair. First of all, we want to take a soda ash bin and feeder system there and convert that to powdered activated carbon. We have one PAC feed system. We don't use the soda ash system, so we'd like to convert that to a redundant PAC system. So that's the first thing. The ferric chloride tanks, ferric chloride is a coagulant used in the treatment process. We'd like to replace those tanks and actually upsize them to provide more storage and flexibility for chemical deliveries there. The ferric chloride feed system. While that system is, the tanks are being upgraded, we also like to replace the ferric chloride feed lines and the carrier pipes to allow those to be more efficiently operated and maintained as they plug over time of carrier pipes that can be removed. And then the last thing is potential for replacing the floor coating in the ferric chloride feed. So there's a couple of alternates being bid under this contract. The base bid would be for the
Chemical feed.
yeah, well, alternate one is to replace existing PAC feed system. Alternate two is to replace the flooring. So the base bid is for the new pumps, or I mean the new tanks and the piping for the ferric chloride. But we would like to request permission to bid that work and establish a public hearing date as the date of the November board meeting.
So we're looking for the motion to authorize staff to solicit bids for the 2023 MWTP Chemical Feed Improvement Project and to establish the date of the public hearing as the date of the November 23rd board meeting. And direct staff to publish notice as provided by the. So in a second,
Second.
any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Item 3F.
So this is an alteration of an existing transmission line. We have a 36-inch diameter feeder main that runs down the Hickman Avenue corridor, and it crosses Interstate 8035 right there at Hickman. The Iowa DOT is going to do some fairly major improvements of that interchange that will affect our feeder main in that area. We've done a lot of work to prepare for that alteration. The plan is to actually complete that alteration before they begin work on the interchange project. So we're planning to bid two different material options: ductile iron pipe, pre-stressed concrete cylinder pipe, and we're requesting authorization from the board to solicit bids for that project and to establish the date of the public hearing as the date of the November 2023 board meeting.
Do we have a motion then to authorize staff to solicit the bids for the IDOT Polk 3580 Hickman Interchange Project and establish the date of the public hearing as the date of the November 23rd board meeting? Direct staff and to publish notices provided by the.
So moved.
In a second,
Second.
any questions? So is this right in front of Living History Farms?
Merging diamond interchange in there, so making $8 a hotel, I think,
Yes,
bill, so they're gonna be putting a retaining wall in there.
got it.
It's gonna be a very large merging diamond.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Item 3G, granting us.
I'm not saying a word.
Okay, 3G, this is the item that was actually changed. We sent out a revised agenda and this one revised item. This is actually a case where we inherited an easement, a water main easement from the former Southeast Polk Water District. They did a lot of just going out and getting easements on both sides of the road all over the place so that they could lay water main kind of wherever they wanted to. In this particular case, they had easement on both sides of the road. They actually installed the water main on the other side of the road. We don't have need for this particular easement, and the property owner there is the city of Altoona, the Altoona School District. They're gonna construct a new school there, and the Altoona city planner has asked us to vacate the easement because it's not being used. It doesn't allow for changes in grade. It just really hampers what they can do. We don't have need for it. And so we are recommending that the board authorize termination of the easement so that they can move forward with the development of that property unencumbered by the requirements of that easement.
John, I understand you were involved in this. I don't think we've ever vacated an easement.
Yeah, so some of this has to do with the limitations on the waterworks as far as its ability to transfer real estate and what exactly is happening when we vacate an easement. And it's our view that because this easement was granted for a specific purpose, if that purpose is no longer going to be used or exercised, then the easement rights automatically revert back to the property owner. So it's not actually transfer of real estate. It's sort of by operation of law, it transfers back. So, but given that it's not, there's not a physical act that occurs here that demonstrates to the world that we are vacating. We, in our view, it's better for the board to formally state we don't intend to use this easement, and then by operation of law flowing from that action, it'll revert back to the property.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're looking for a motion to terminate the plans for the placement of a water main within easement, which was recorded in book 7730, page 599, and authorize staff to vacate said easement. And a second. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Opposed? We have some informational items, Finance and Audit Committee. We have anything to report with that?
I think, wasn't the last one the one that we repurposed? Or we canceled and then we repurposed it for our other meetings, so we did not meet.
I was thinking that was what we did.
Got it right here. At finance, we talked about the Central Iowa Waterworks Strategic Communications Plan.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
And then
Sorry.
That replaced a meeting, correct?
Yeah,
the planning committee, we actually converted into a special board meeting where we reviewed the entire agreement. So it was all Central Iowa Waterworks related this year at the committee meeting.
Okay, good. So we do not have report outs on those two specific things. Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden Board.
I don't have much to, or anything.
Sure looks great.
It does look great, doesn't it? It really is a fabulous place.
Des Moines Waterworks Park Foundation Board. And
That's on there.
I can say something real quick. We, at the last meeting, we had that outside at the beer garden. It was kind of a special event, so we had some, volunteers and other people who had helped over the year. And we also had a presentation by Ben Page, the director of the Des Moines Park and Recreation, and he kind of went over what all the Des Moines parks are doing, and also expressing his appreciation for what Waterworks is doing with their park and how it fits into the scheme, and how, between Grays Lake and Waterworks Park, it's really becoming the place to be. So other than that, that was really all we talked about during that meeting.
thank you, Pat. And then we have Stowe Foundation, and you'll see that's not up under a board or committee. It's not a board or committee meeting, but as Graham has information to report out, it will be on the agenda, so it may not be on there every month.
I think that's a good decision. And all I have to say on that is, as we talked about last time, I think starting with the planning committee meeting in October, we're gonna bring forward and show you the plans and where everything is on that front. We're not asking for board approval yet because we're not quite ready to do that yet, but I thought it was important that everybody see it early and we get feedback early. And then once we get ready and get close to hopefully breaking ground, then we'll ask for board approval. So maybe it's a little early to bring it to the board, but I thought we'd err on the side of being early as opposed and allowing questions. So look for that at the planning committee meeting.
Sounds good. 10 CEO and general manager comments.
So I pretty well shared my comments at the beginning of the meeting. I do want draw the board's attention to the safety update though, which is in the packet and has some good information about the training that we have done. This is more a representation of the amount of training. There's just a significant number of training topics that go on a monthly or weekly basis. We continue to work on ensuring that the training is of value and specific to people's jobs, but we have a nice graphic in there this month that talks about the amount of training that's being conducted. I will also point out to the board that we have experienced 6 recordable injuries thus far this year, which while not, we would prefer to have 0 recordable injuries, of course. But 6 at this point, the 9-month point in the year is, I would say, less than average for an organization our size. And if not something that we can be proud of, it's at least something that shows that our safety programs are making a difference, and that we're doing a reasonable job from a safety perspective.
Great. Since our meeting has only lasted 36 minutes, I think we have a new member in the audience that she just stepped out. That I was going to have you introduce, but we could try and get out for a minute and see if she comes back. Anything else to come before the board? Laura, any updates that you want to give us on communication? You've got a lot on your plate right now. For Melissa?
Ready?
Okay, so for board members, we do have a new employee, and if you want to stick around and say hello, that would be great. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
It's almost a record.
Grandma's committed to keeping it short. 0 questions.
I just focused on the ball. Focused on the ball, Ally.
Well, I like